Hi, in this video, we'll go over the use of nanoparticles in the treatment of glioblastoma. First off, what is cancer? Cancer is a disease caused by DNA alterations, which cause cells to divide without stopping. If a cell divides and one of the two copies is faulty or has too many mutations, this cell will undergo apoptosis, or programmed cell death. However, in cancer, these abnormal, useless cells cannot be killed and begin to divide without stopping. They sometimes form tumors, or masses of cancerous tissue. Now that we know what cancer is, let's talk about glioblastoma. Glioblastoma is the most malignant form of cancer that affects the central nervous system, or the brain and spinal cord. Glioblastomas are a type of astrocytoma, which are tumor cells that begin in star-shaped brain cells called astrocytes, which help keep nerve cells healthy, provide structural support for the brain, and maintain cerebral homeostasis. Treating glioblastoma remains one of the biggest challenges. This is due to its aggressive development, the fact that the tumor cannot be completely removed through surgery, difficulties to get drugs to the tumor, and the tumor's resistance to the treatment. The current standard of care is surgical resection, radiotherapy, and then chemotherapy. The first thing done is to try to remove as much of the tumor as possible, but due to its infiltrative growth pattern, as its tentacle-like cells grow into surrounding tissue, total removal is impossible. Radiation is used to cause damage to the DNA of cancer cells and induces them to undergo apoptosis. Chemotherapy refers to the use of drugs to fight cancer or other diseases. The current standard drug used in treating glioblastoma is temozolomide, or TMZ. This drug binds to DNA so the cancer cells cannot divide, and in some cases forces them to undergo apoptosis. Though this treatment seems like it would work, it is not very effective. Survival with glioblastoma is the lowest of any other kind of cancer, and the median survival is just 14.6 months. There are, however, many new treatments being researched, one of the most promising being nanoparticles, which are transport systems that can deliver drugs, protect them from degradation, and reduce the toxic effects. They are up to 100 nanometers in size. Here, we see a nanoparticle composed of phospholipids. So, why would nanoparticles be beneficial for treating glioblastoma? The most important reason is that these small particles would be able to bypass the body's best gatekeeper, the blood-brain barrier. This has long stumbled scientists, and it prevents over 98% of drugs from entering the brain. This might explain why things like chemotherapy cannot eradicate glioblastoma. The blood's brain vessels are lined with endothelial cells and other cells meant to keep substances away from the brain. These cells are connected by tight junctions, which keep fluids and other materials from squeezing their way between cells. Also directly attached to the blood-brain barrier are astrocytes, the very cells that are affected in glioblastoma. They contribute to the formation and the structure of this barrier. The blood-brain barrier also contains efflux transporters, which are pumps that work to pump out substances away from the brain, including anti-cancer drugs. So, due to these tight junctions, efflux transporters, and other methods meant to keep things away from the brain, few molecules can pass. You might ask, why are nanoparticles needed though? It's because they can be heavily modified and made to pass the blood-brain barrier. Such modifications include changes in shape, changes in surface charge, adding various coatings and binding partners like proteins or lipids, which would essentially turn these particles into a Trojan horse, so that the endothelial cells may take up these particles. While TMZ by itself may not be effective at penetrating the blood-brain barrier, a nanoparticle that can bind with a protein on an endothelial cell will have no problem. In penetrating these cells, brain cancer stem cells may finally be taken down. These cells drive tumor progression and growth, and are resistant to conventional drugs like TMZ due to proteins they may contain. So, penetrating these cells, which is not possible with current drugs, could lead to a cure. Because of the infiltrative nature of glioblastoma and the resistance of so many kinds of treatment by brain cancer stem cells, we need something that can directly penetrate glioblastoma cells and kill them. Current treatment just is not working. With nanoparticles, though, we might achieve this. Nanoparticles are the answer for crossing the blood-brain barrier, which has long frustrated many in the treatment of brain tumors. Nanoparticles are advantageous because they provide more specific drug targeting to cells, reduce toxic effects of the drug, and allow for controlled and safe release of these drugs. Their high level of customizability allows for manipulation of shape, size, material, and most importantly, manipulation of the surface with charges or various receptors and binding partners. Thanks for watching. I hope you've learned a lot about how nanoparticles could be the future in treating glioblastoma.